And feel free to message in the Slack chat as well if you need me.
Okay.
Let me know when you'd like. We can start letting people in. There's a few people already here, so it's up to you.
Adam, I'm good to go whenever, but can I just check before we do go? I'll take it that you're putting up the slides because I'm not an admin.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll make you. Oh, I can't make you co-host at the moment, but yeah, I'll sort the slides out. Don't worry about that. Cool. Cheers. Great. So I'll let everybody in. Thanks, folks.
Hi everyone, we're just waiting for everyone to kind of filter in. So if you need to go like take a toilet break or get like a drink or anything, now's the time.
Lovely to see you all. We'll be starting in just a few minutes, but great to have you. Is everyone doing all right? Yeah. A few nods, a few.
Yeah, we'll cut the silence. Hi.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good to see everybody. Look at us all.
So this is actually going to be our first virtual hustings. It's actually not though, because we did this for the October elections. This is our first elections of like the March period. So that's quite fun. But yeah, it's good to still get these along. It's still good to have brilliant to have so many candidates this year. Really, really good to see so many people that are so keen. So it's just hit 4 now, but we're still expecting a few more to join us. So we're just going to give it another minute or two while people get themselves together, and then hopefully we'll be ready to kick off. Wow, we've lost someone's interest that quickly. I think that's nearly a new record.
I don't know if everyone's seen what Adam put in the chat, but there's been some questions submitted already. But if you have any questions, you can let Leo or Adam know, and they'll kind of take them for us, and we can see if we have time to answer them.
Right, so I think that's about us ready to go if everyone's happy now. Brilliant to have you all along this evening, as I've already said. Like really appreciate you all taking the time out. This is live up on YouTube as of right now, and we have a few slides that should have just appeared up on your screen, which I'll be talking you through this evening. We're scheduled in from 4 until 6, but it's all right if we finish up just before that. It's no worries. So welcome to the March elections hustings. This is where you get the chance to be quizzed a little bit by students and talk a little bit about your campaign. So some of the expectations for this evening are that everyone's respectful of each other. There are some general like courtesy things for Zoom that we kind of expect as well, that you mute your microphone whenever you're not speaking, just so you aren't interrupting anyone else or disrupting what they're saying. You can feel free to keep your camera on if you're comfortable doing so, but there's also no pressure to have that on either. It's totally up to yourself. If you're having any technical issues, this is very important, because this is the one thing that's guaranteed to happen in every single Zoom meeting without exception. If you're having any technical issues, put it into the chat and that's no problem, or contact Adam and Leo either. So those are just a few of the expectations for this evening. If you want to know anything more, feel free to message myself or Adam and Leo, and that would be fantastic. For the record, Adam and Leo are union staff members, which I'm sure each of you should have kind of came across now, if not like face to face, well, Zoom to Zoom, then through emails and things as well. It's myself and some of the previous executive officers who aren't rerunning that will be hosting you this evening. My name is Kayla Megan Burns, and I probably should have done that to start with. I'm the current Strath Union president. So outline of the event this evening. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to speak. And once all the candidates for a position have spoken, they will then be asked 2 questions. Each candidate will have 30 seconds to respond, and additional time for this can be provided if necessary. However, in your 2 minutes to speak, everyone does get the same uniform 2 minutes. Adam will message you whenever you have 30 seconds left, and unfortunately, if you go over the 2 minutes, then Adam will interrupt you. So that's not if in case it just happens to one individual, it's nothing personal. It's just if you go over the time to make sure everyone has the same allotted time to speak. Questions submitted in advance of the event will be prioritized this evening, but as it said in the chat, you can feel free to message Leo or Adam with questions for specific positions as well. So that's a bit about the event this evening. The running order for this evening, we have first the candidates for the Vice Presidents of Sport position. Then we're going to have VP Education, VP Community, VP Inclusion, VP Welfare, and then finally the presidential candidates. So that's our running order for this evening. If it's all right, we're going to get straight to it right now, and I'm going to hand over to Ailey Snedden, our current Vice President of Sport, to chat to our sports candidates. So away you go, Ailey.
Cheers, Kayla. As she said, I'm Ailey, and I'm the current Vice President of Sport. And today we're joined by one of our 2 candidates for Vice President of Sport, Kirsty Bannatyne, and we have apologies from Azim. So Kirsty, if you're all right, I might just crack on. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, but we're going to start with 2 minutes to discuss your manifesto.
Yeah, that's fine.
Whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so I'm Kirsty and I'm running for VP Sport. I've been a sports union member since my first year, actively participating in various sports clubs. I'm passionate about all things Strathclyde sport and sport in the wider community and developing it to make it more accessible to everyone. I'm currently the Social Secretary for Strathclyde Tennis and the Sponsorship Officer for the Sports Exec, which has allowed me to get much more involved in student sport and become more knowledgeable about the sports union by working really closely with Ailey this year. Alongside this, I volunteer with Scottish Student Sport, which has allowed me to see how we integrate within the bigger picture within Scotland. I also volunteer in other projects such as the Judy Murray Foundation, aiming to increase the representation of females in tennis, and the Glasgow International Swim Meet in 2019 as a marketing intern. My manifesto is ambitious, but I also think it's very achievable. I have 5 clear objectives which I would like to achieve, which are a combination of Ailey's work and some of my own ideas. The first is to introduce a calendar of events to highlight what's going on at the sports union at club level and at sports union level, and to allow clubs to plan their social events around the sports unions. Next, I would like to reintroduce the Strathclyde Sport podcast to showcase what's going on at the sports union with behind the scenes content and special guests on the show. Student wellbeing is a huge priority of mine moving forward, and so I aim to ensure that every Wednesday we are providing hints and tips for students to ensure that they are taking care of their physical and mental health. I plan to continue the committee buddy system and perhaps also buddy up clubs with specific sports exec committee members. And lastly, I want to start developing a sports-specific app by working really closely with Strathclyde Sport to communicate more effectively and improve the student experience.
Perfect, thanks Kirsty. If that's okay, I'll move into the questions. The first question I have is, sports clubs will soon start competing nationally again. How will you ensure that clubs receive adequate funding for competitions as well as other activities?
I think just working really closely with the finance officer and the treasurers of each club to ensure that they are submitting their finance reports to us in good time so that they receive the funding that they need.
Perfect, thank you. And the next question, what do you see as the biggest opportunities for success at the sports union?
I was saying this in our hustings the other day. I think that I've got quite a blank canvas going back to campus, and I can really just take the reins and change the game a bit and offer new things that we haven't offered before. I've got quite a lot of ideas that I haven't mentioned on my manifesto that I would like to do, and I think, you know, taking things like the app, it's completely going to change the game and just provide new opportunities for students.
Perfect, thank you. Those are all the questions that I have submitted already, but if there are any other questions, feel free to submit them via the chat. And if not, I might ping over to Shelby, our Vice President of Education. And thanks again, Kirsty, for your answers.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ailey. Hi, everyone. So we have just the same a couple of minutes to hear about Savina's manifesto. And if Mohammed joins, we'll be able to hear about their manifesto as well. But Savina, if you just want to take it away for 2 minutes about, I guess, why you want to be the next VP Education.
Perfect, thank you very much. So I decided to stand for the role of VP Education because I was previously a student rep. I was a class rep initially in my first year of uni, and then I also became a faculty last year, a faculty rep. And this experience really helped me to understand the effect that student reps can have on the education and the educational experience of students. So I thought that through this position, I would be able to bring more change. So I would be focused, first of all, to listen to the student feedback. So I think that's the most important thing, especially in a role such as the VP Education, because it's constant feedback from students, and especially I think through the rep system. So the class reps to the faculty reps and me with the faculty reps collaborating always. But also a direct communication between students is very important. Secondly, I think accessibility is something that was really highlighted through the pandemic, and it's important to be continuously highlighted after we get back to campus. So, for example, the recording of lectures was something that was really important for people who weren't able potentially sometimes to attend lectures. So I think that would be something that needs to continue. Also, I would examine the current assessment and feedback policies, because I've understood from student feedback that they haven't been exactly always in place and haven't been that beneficial for students. And then something that I'm very passionate about is creating career days for students, because I think it's really important after this pandemic that students feel confident going into the workplace. So I would be very happy to continue with that. And also, I believe that I could bring the necessary experience to this because through my faculty role, I was part of different academic committees, and I collaborated with the VP Education at the time, but also with the academic staff. For example, through the Senate, and also gave feedback for the no detriment policy, which was also very important.
That's your
And
time,
I believe that this
candidate.
experience is
Time candidate.
Thank you.
Thanks, thanks for that, Sabina. And I believe we have Mohammed with us now to give their 2-minute speech about their manifesto, and then we can move into the questions for both of these.
You're on mute.
Oh, sorry. So hi everyone. My name is Mohammad Shahrukh Khan, and I'll start with a little bit of my background. So basically, I'm studying Masters in Advanced Computer Science, and my contribution with the Strat Union so far is that I am the course representative of Advanced Computer Science, and I have been involving in gathering feedbacks from the students throughout this previous semester and this one as well, by effectively communicating with them and pointing out their issues and reaching out to them personally. So my manifesto for the VP education position is that I would like to bring the democratic sort of education, the sort of education that the students want, and the positive changes that they want to see. So especially moving into this unprecedented times, I mean, the circumstances the COVID is going through, and the students, some students, especially the international ones, are facing a lot of difficulties to get the same experience they could have on campus, and the interactions that they would like to have. So that's what I'm planning to do. I'm trying to bring those changes so that they can cope up with all the missings that they have in last semester regarding the on-campus teachings. And those who are comfortable with studying online, I will try to bring some more interactive sessions apart from Zoom meetings, and that would be my major focus. And one more thing that I would like to introduce is to give a lot of training to the Strat representatives. For that, I will have my personally designed training plan that I will be sharing with the Strat reps, and I will be promoting and encouraging more students to volunteer and promote the educational clubs and activities that what is I'm currently thinking of. And I would also like to engage with some external organizations like QAA Scotland and Education Scotland. These are some external organizations that I would like to work with to bring some policy changes, some effective policy changes for the education sector.
That's your time, candidate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. It was great to hear from both of you there. Some really interesting points that both of you raised, and it'd be really great to see what either of you could do with the role. The first question I have for both of you, and we'll probably just go in the same order, Savina first, if that's okay, is why is student representation in academic setting important?
So I think that student representation is important because I've seen it through my experience. I remember before the new policy about assessment and feedback was placed, there were in many different ways that people were assessed, and it wasn't very clear, and there was a lot of confusion. And because students gave the feedback that there were problems and issues with that, then this changed. So I think this, as an example, is something that shows how much change, and even in policy change, student representation can bring, especially when it's done through the representation system, class reps, faculty reps, and VP education in this case.
Thank you, Savina. And then just Mohammed, do you have?
Yeah, so basically the student representative is important because the student representation is basically the first point of contact for the students. If they face any issues and they face any problems, that they can point out those problems to the student representatives. So I think their training is very important. That's why the change is very important to bring in this representation system, and that's what I'm currently looking for, so that I can train the representatives in the right way and make the education system in a way that it will benefit students for their future career as well, and they will be more career oriented, and once they graduate they will get more jobs as well. So that's what I'm looking for currently.
And the second question is, what do you see as the biggest opportunities? Oh, that was the sports union one. Never mind. What do you see as the main opportunity for improvement in university education currently?
I think I would go back again to the accessibility issue, because I think that's a very important one. We've had students who are carers or who had other responsibilities and they couldn't attend lectures at certain times. And that's not only something that happened during the pandemic, it's just something that was found out through the pandemic more, I guess, in the student body, or that was talked about more. So I think that's something that would need to be focused. So this flexibility, I guess, in the way that education is taught, in order to have these recordings, in order to make it more accessible. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so for my side, I would say that the things that are needed to be improved are the lack of consistent policies that we right now have for remote learning. And specifically, the curriculum is inconsistent, because in being a Strath representative, I came to know that in many of the courses, sometimes the students feel that the course is not that much practical, and it is more towards the theoretical aspect. So that's what I would like to stress on, that the curriculum should be effective in a way that they should be able to learn something useful from it, because that's what the motto of Strathclyde is that to get the useful learning for students. And apart from that, there is one more thing I would like to say is the inability to replicate the on-campus teachings through the remote learning. That's need to be improved as well. So that's what I will be looking forward to.
Brilliant, thanks. Some really interesting answers from both of you. And I'm now going to pass to Kayla, I believe, to talk about the VP community role.
Yep. Thanks so much, Shelby and Ailey, for going through those VP Education and VP Sport candidates. And thank you so much, candidates, for giving all your piece there. Next, we're on to VP Community candidates, and this is a role that I actually held myself last year. So something that I really enjoy talking about. In the role of VP Community here this evening, we have Rue Wallace, Devat. I'm sorry, I'm really not doing these names very well. We have Devat, we have Vidita, and we have Abnav. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry if I have mispronounced anyone's names there, and please feel free to correct me. So we're going to go through, and everyone's going to have their 2 minutes now. So Rue, you were first on my list. Oh, sorry, there's only two of the candidates here. It's only Rue and Devat here. We have apologies from the other two candidates. So Rue, you're first up on my list. So would you like to have your 2 minutes?
Sure, thank you. I'm Rue Wallace. I'm running for re-election as VP Community. I've had a whole year of experience in the position, and honestly, it's been a tricky year for all three of the main aspects that fall under the role of VP Community. Clubs and SOCs haven't been able to have their in-person events. Volunteers haven't been able to get in to access our volunteer hub and some of the support, and also can't have in-person events. And on the environmental side of things, we've got lots of really enthusiastic people involved, but they can't get stuck into the activism they'd like to because of lockdown. Through this, however, I've managed to keep these things running. We've had some amazing society events with Clubs Exec. I've been part of giving out a huge amount of funding, as well as running our current charity month with over £1,000 worth of prizes for societies. We've supported volunteers, developed a new system for recognising their successes and hard work, and I've started the Climate Emergency Action Group, and we've entered into a really ambitious project to deliver carbon literacy training to thousands of students and staff at the uni. In terms of my manifesto, I want to intensify work on decarbonising the curriculum and implementing education for sustainable development. I want to accelerate net zero, which is something I'd work with the Climate Emergency Action Group and also Sustainable Strathclyde to do. I want to refresh catering on campus, which is something that's clear from the candidates today there's appetite for. Forgive the pun. I want to continue work on getting shopping provisions on campus. I want to create a Strath Union app with a dedicated space for volunteering. I want to get course credits for postgrad research volunteers who are volunteering with the union, as well as other opportunities. I want to revamp Clubs Exec to be more similar to the Sports Exec. And when it's safe, I want to have big events in our new outdoor student street, supporting local artists, showcasing the work of our amazing societies. And I want to do these delivered with the help of our societies who are full of really clever, technical and creative people. Vote for me, that's me.
Great, thank you, Rue. Now I'll pass on to Devat, and you'll have your 2 minutes now. Just whenever you're ready.
Yeah. Hi, this is Divjot, and I'm from India. I am currently pursuing Masters in Data Analytics. I'm the student rep of my department as well. It's been 5 months I've been in the UK, and this year being a really tough year for everyone, being online. Some people are still back there in our hometowns who are not able to like come here because of travel restrictions or some restrictions. So like I would like to introduce a kind of support group or kind of community group, so that people could interact with their own community as well, the interaction with different communities amongst themselves. Also, I have been like a volunteer in my undergrad. During my undergraduation, I have been the vice president of various events, cultural events. I have been leading various events for the development of the clubs and societies. Here at Strath Union, I would also like to introduce, due to this online thing, most of the clubs that are the ones that are done offline, like dance and something like that should be done in person, are not able to do on Zoom. It doesn't give you the feel. So just as the easing of restrictions, I would like small groups of this to start again, so that people are really interested, because it has been really a hard time for everyone being home. The mental health has been affected with a lot of people. So I would like to introduce that. For international students, they are away from family and now they are not able to interact with any people over here. So the social groups we can form on Zoom, so that people are knowing their own community, so that they don't feel lonely in a different country altogether. So post lockdown, maybe we could meet also. And staff and local communities as well. Staff, we need to inform the staff what the students feel. We need to inform the communities how the staff feels about it, even they are under the restriction of the Scottish government.
Time, candidate. That's your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Great, thank you both for giving your 2 minutes there. It was great to hear from you. So next we're going to move on to the questions. And for VP Community, we actually have 3 questions this time. So Divjot, since Rue spoke first this time, if you'd like, you can start with the questions this time. The first question that we have for the VP Community candidates is, whilst there are thousands of members of clubs and societies, engaging in society activities is particularly difficult for hard to reach students, such as part-time and commuting students. If you're elected, what will you do to make societies as accessible as possible?
We can get people who are like the availability of people, when they are available, when they could travel, and when they can be available. Depending on that, we can make different groups for the societies at different times, and we can work it out together.
Great, thank you. The next question we have is, Strath Union will be moving to a new building. How will you make sure that societies have enough storage and activity space?
We should divide, when this new building is done, we can look at the different rooms available, and depending on the activity that is being performed and the number of people enrolled in them, we can divide the resources and the space accordingly, so that everyone gets an equal share and appropriate amount of space.
Great, thank you. And the final question that we have for this category is, how important do you feel the strength of community is to the well-being of the individual?
It's very, very important, especially in a case of this pandemic. We need, man is a huge social animal. We need people around, we need our community to support each other. Without that, we all are nothing. What we are doing here is also community building, it's socializing. So without that, nothing is possible.
Great, thank you so much. Now I'm going to pass to Rue to answer the same questions. So, Rue, the questions are the exact same. So the first question is, whilst there are thousands of members of clubs and societies engaging in society activities, it's particularly difficult for hard to reach students, such as part-time and commuting students. If you're elected, what will you do to make societies as accessible as possible?
One thing that I've heard of a lot from students, particularly commuting students and students who are have less time, is how it's a sort of side benefit of COVID is that they've had access to all these societies that they've not before because of online events. So I'd like to really encourage clubs and societies to be hosting online events and continue pushing that. I'd also really highlight the participation fund. So people who might have financial issues that might mean they can't take part are more aware of the fact that that support is there for them.
Great, thank you, Rue. The next question is, Strathclyde Union will be moving to a new building. How will you make sure that societies have enough storage and activity space?
This is one thing that actually we've already been working on, which is trying to gain even more space in addition to the stuff that we're moving, the place that we're moving into in other buildings to have space. I'd also want to have a really good audit of what space or what's being used just now, because there is stuff from clubs and societies that don't exist anymore. So if we can, be as efficient as possible in using that space for storage, as well as having extra rooms and space available for activities.
Great, thank you. And the final question for this category, how important do you feel the strength of the community is to the well-being of the individual?
I think it's absolutely essential. I probably would have said the exact thing that humans are a social animal. And yeah, it's really clear from the whole pandemic, when people haven't been able to have that in person or even the same amount of general contact, how much of a toll that puts on people's mental health and how harder it makes just general things, even including their academic ability to perform academically. So I think it's absolutely vital, and it's clear that we really need to work hard to reform those communities or form new communities for people who haven't had that chance when they if they started Strathclyde during this.
Great, thank you, Rue. That was brilliant to hear from the two VP community candidates. Next up, we have Ailey, and she's going to be hosting the VP inclusion candidate. So Ailey, over to you again.
Cheers, Kayla. Tonight we have 4 out of 5 candidates for VP inclusion with us. We have, I'll read them in the order. We'll go through each question and each manifesto, if that's okay. So if you can just kind of keep a rough idea. First we have Manon, then Zoya, then Chinweju and Nisha. First, if we just start with an open to your manifesto, if that's okay. Manon, are you good to go first?
Yeah. Hi everyone. I would love to be VP Inclusion next year because being part of a feminist society for the last few years has meant that I've met so many lovely new people, and I've had some really open discussions about the different issues that minorities and underrepresented groups face, and I would love to keep doing that too. As VP Inclusion, I really want to make myself available to meet and chat with students and to actually listen to your thoughts and concerns. In my manifesto, I talked about creating an accessible space where everyone feels heard and accepted at Strathclyde. And I think this year, accessibility has been super important, and the availability of online lectures has been really beneficial to a lot of people. And this is why I want to make sure that some things are still kept online next year, regardless of the format that the next academic year takes. I really want to make sure there's an online community of liberation societies so that people can still connect with others and feel included in these societies without feeling the pressure to go to events in person. My main manifesto points are that I would really like to create a women and LGBTQ hour in the gym so that everyone can exercise in a comfortable and safe space. I want to create a new workshop on inclusive language for clubs and societies. I want sustainable period products to be available through the union, and I also want to arrange a way in which people who can't go into uni can be sent free period products in the post. I also want to continue the current union campaigns to stamp out the stigma around sexual harassment and sexual assault. and ensure that there are good mechanisms for reporting this behaviour within uni, and to make sure that non-disclosure agreements are banned at Strathclyde. I'm also looking to create a hidden disabilities campaign through the union in order to ensure that disabled student voices are heard and that we promote a positive and understanding culture in the uni around the Sunflower Scheme. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I'd really appreciate you voting for me in the upcoming elections.
Perfect, thanks, Manon. Zoya, are you okay to go next?
Yep, that's great. Hi everyone, my name is Zoya Khan and I'm running for VP Inclusion. As VP Inclusion, I would want to make sure that my door and agenda is not only open to the various groups that we have on campus, but that they know it is. I'm not interested in making false promises or being arrogant enough to assume that I always know what's best. I'm extremely proud of the number and diversity of societies that we have here at Strathclyde, but I've seen and I've heard from exec committees that they don't always know how to get support from their union. It's something I believe ties into larger issues on campus that I really want to tackle. Our union can be as open-minded as possible, but the value of that is diminished if the groups of people who are underrepresented don't feel like they have access to the resources or are too intimidated to ask for them. I want to take inclusion literally and establish that not only a safe and supportive space for the students here, but to encourage collaboration and interaction between our communities so that we're actually able to learn and grow from each other. I aim to ensure access to resources and facilities here on campus. Many people feel alienated, and are making some progress is not a good enough reason to ignore that there are plenty of people who are still too intimidated to ask for help or get involved. Whether it's because English isn't their first language, they have experienced harassment or discrimination for whatever reason, or simply due to lack of confidence or knowledge. Everyone deserves to have a seat at the table, or at least feel comfortable knowing that there's a space for them on our campus, whether it be in our union, in their class, in the gym, or in the library. A running theme in the issues that I want to work on here at Strathclyde is advocating for the people whose issues are deemed invisible. I believe that accommodations can be made in our facilities and in our faculties for students who are struggling or are forced to make their own constant adjustments just to attend university, whether it be due to disabilities, mental health issues, gender, financial difficulties, family responsibilities, or just the realities of life. Again, I'm extremely proud of the progress that Strathclyde has made so far. I just believe that we can do more, and that I know that I would work tirelessly to keep learning, listening, and standing up for the people who need someone to just help them. So if you want a VP Inclusion that's competent, compassionate, and committed, vote for me. If you want to hear more from me or ask me anything, feel free to contact me. I'd be happy to start a dialogue. And thank you so much for listening.
Perfect, thank you. Next I have Chinwiju. Are you on the call?
Hi, my name is Chinwiju Nzewi, and I'm running for VP Inclusion. I'm a Black student, an international student, a mature student, a female student, and a student with hidden disabilities. If there is one thing I have realized from being categorized under several minority groups, is that when organizations, and that includes Strathclyde, attempt to solve the problems of the minorities, they tend to tackle it from the perspective of the majority minority, further marginalizing the people who already feel excluded. That is what I aim to stop as your VP Inclusion. I intend to acknowledge the various intersections that shape the lives of people in all minority communities. Just because I'm part of a lot of the minority groups does not mean that I know what every minority group needs. This is why I will start with implementing the listening policy by having continuous roundtable talks with your society representatives and running opinion polls, constantly seeking to learn what is most important to you. I will also work on establishing peer support networks, lobbying the university for extension of hardship funds and provision of adequate prayer space, to name but a few. I am currently the Vice President of the Nigerian Society, and during my short time in the office, I have helped Nigerian students make successful applications to extend their payment plans. I recently facilitated a training session for struggling Nigerian students on how to write successful essays and dissertations. And I need to do this because I listened when they told me about their challenges and I took action to solve their problem. It is this same spirit and enthusiasm that I intend to channel into fighting with and for you to create a Strathclyde fit for purpose where no one feels left behind. And this is why I implore you to pick me, Chinwiju Nzewi, as your #1 candidate for VP Inclusion. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And last I have Nisha.
Hiya, I'm Nisha and I'm obviously running for VP Inclusion as well. I'm a social policy student and all of that is based around the ideas of making social issues more accessible for people and things like that. What falls into that is education in particular. So one of the things that we talk about, and one of the things that I was talking about in my manifesto is the fact that the university has introduced online learning for the pandemic. That is something that's helped students that are off-campus students, or students that maybe have a part-time job or have caring responsibilities and things like that. That sort of thing is it just makes the university more inclusive and more accessible, and that I think is something that we need to ensure that the university continues and keeps on after the pandemic ends, even if online learning is not the norm. I'm also looking at the idea of challenging participation grids. I know that not all schools have these, but I feel like that's something that doesn't really work for everyone. Some people have issues around anxiety, speaking up, maybe even just literal disabilities that prevent them from doing those things, and grading people on that I think is unfair, and I want to challenge that if I was in the roles inclusion. I also want to look at liberation groups and how these rely on volunteers. I think that this should be a paid role so that the support's always there all the time for students that need it. Apart from that, I just think that you know, a lot of us are on the same sort of page about the things that need done. I think you know, all the candidates. Oh, sorry, all the candidates are saying the same sort of thing, but I just think that I'm totally losing my train of thought here. I'm getting a wee bit flustered.
Oh, don't worry.
I'm just gonna leave it there. Vote for me. I know that wasn't a very good introduction, but here's.
No worries. Thanks, Nisha. If you're all right, I'll move on to the questions. The first question is, Strath Union has campaigned to end gender-based violence on campus. If elected, what are your next steps in combating gender-based violence? Manon, are you okay to take this first?
Yeah. I really want to continue the current work to make sure that there's like adequate reporting procedures in place so no one feels like they can't report sexual harassment, no matter how small it is or how small they perceive it to be. So yeah.
Zoya, are you okay to go next? If any of the candidates need me to repeat the question at any point, just give me a shout.
That's fine. Thank you so much for your question. So this is something that I kind of spend a lot of time campaigning and volunteering for general helplines based off of gender-based violence. And so I definitely agree with Manon. A lot of the campaigns that we have on Strathclyde currently definitely need to be continued, and we definitely need to pay attention to making sure that reporting is something that's very easily accessible and supported. I definitely think that there are organisations within Glasgow that are extremely valuable that work with Strathclyde that can give you advice based off of whichever situation you're in, whether you need legal advice, whether you need shelter support. And we need to make sure these are things that are extremely accessible to students. And also there's a focus that we need to have on ethnic minorities and how they experience these things differently, and how sometimes language and misinformation can be a barrier. So sorry if I'm going on, but there are definitely tools that are available that can definitely be brought into Strathclyde and should definitely be integrated to try and end gender-based violence.
Thank you. Chimitra, are you okay to go next?
Yeah, I'm building on what Manon and Zoya have said. I think it's also very important to make it possible for these issues to be reported anonymously and be tackled in that way, because sometimes by making them relive their experience and putting them in the limelight, it sort of makes them not want to come out. And also by making them have to state their names and have their names out there, it sort of creates an impression where they would not want to be stigmatized. So they would rather just live with the issue than come and complain about it. So I would want a platform where they can report these issues anonymously, and then they never have to face the perpetrators even while the case is going on. That way they know they're in a safe space where they can actually express themselves and talk about their issues.
Perfect, thank you. And last I have Nisha.
Yeah, just kind of building on things that other people were saying as well. I do think that it's a bit hard, like it's not very well known how to report these things. So I think that needs to be blown up more. People need to know how they can do that in the first place. And even on the other side of things, I think there needs to be more campaigning, more knowledge on prevention and not committing these things, as opposed to putting it all on the victim. I'm currently undertaking bystander training with within the social policy course as a separate thing, and I think that's something that if that was blown up into a larger scale thing that more people could do, I think that would be really helpful as well.
Okay, thanks. The final question I have is, campaigning is a huge part of what Strath Union does, and particularly important for liberation groups. How will you make Strath Union's campaigns as accessible as possible? Manon, are you okay to take this first?
Yeah, I think it's really important that we have subtitles on all the videos that we put out through the union and everything, and like obviously a lot of the campaign videos had subtitles on it as well, and it would be great to have that on everything that the union puts out. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say.
Perfect, thank you. And Zoya?
So again, I have experience dealing with a large number of campaigns, some that are large and some that are bigger. And what I can say is important, and what I definitely should bring, again, definitely agree with Manon, captions are extremely important. And like I was saying earlier, there are language barriers that exist. And so creating accessible transcripts in other languages, or with the option to change your subtitles, something incredibly important. Making sure that we are bringing together every actionable group, all the stakeholders that are involved in our campaigns, and inviting all of the groups on campus to come together and form an actual community and inform each other, work together and bring all ideas on board. Accessibility isn't just a case of like putting on the internet for anyone to see, it's inviting the people in, it's inviting everybody to have a say, and it's inviting everybody to feel confident and comfortable learning.
Perfect, thank you. Chimishu, are you okay to go next?
Yeah, in addition to the captions, it will be also important to make sure that these messages get across to people who have hidden disabilities, not just hidden disabilities, but very obvious disabilities, because in putting these messages online, sometimes people from maybe the deaf community and the dumb community that cannot access these messages will not be able to like really grasp the thought of the message, especially if it doesn't have a caption. So I think it would be important if we can have somebody from their community who can interpret this for them to make it easier for them to engage with the messages that are being passed across. And yeah, I think, yeah, that's it.
Perfect, thank you. And finally, Nisha?
I don't want to copy what everyone else is saying, just regurgitate the same sort of thing. So what I would just add is that there's also the concept of making actual physical campaigning a more accessible space and a safer space. So sometimes the issues are difficult issues, and some things can be very emotional, and things like if we're at a random example, if we were talking about abortion rights, that can bring up a lot of feelings for people, and making sure that there's people that are there on campaigning things that know what to do and know what they're talking about, know how to comfort those people and help them through situations like that. I think that's something that's important as well.
Perfect. Again, thanks to all the candidates for answering these questions. I know it's not easy to do the hustings, and I know that you've all got lovely manifestos that you can all have a read of in your own time as well. But thanks again. And I'm passing on to Shelby, I think, to take the VP welfare.
Perfect, thanks Ellie. Yep, I'm going to be covering VP welfare as well, and there are 5 candidates, but there are 3 present, so if you want to read anything else, you can go along obviously to the elections page and read anyone's manifesto. So similar format, 2 minutes and then some questions, and first up we have Tierney.
Hi, I'm Tierney. I'm in my 4th year studying marketing. I've come to university from college just last year. I'm from a low-income background. I've dealt with mental health issues both personally and in my family, and I've had my share of housing and financial problems. What I'm trying to say is I get it, I've been there, but I'm not trying to push my own personal agenda. I'm here to listen, and what I'm hearing is students are struggling. There's so many external pressures affecting our studies and our lives, and we need help. And I really believe I'm the person to do that in this role. I have the experience and the empathy needed to advocate for you in terms of mental and physical health, housing, finance and employability. Getting down to specifics, I want to see reduced counselling waiting times and dedicated mental health resources for underrepresented groups. I want to continue development of the Student Tenants Union, and I want more transparency around the cost of learning. I want permanent on-campus sexual health testing and on-campus pharmacy provision. I'd also like to increase career planning support and see more student employment opportunities facilitated by the uni. There's so much beauty and value in the diversity of backgrounds here at Strathclyde, but for a lot of people this means starting from a position of disadvantage. I think the university has a responsibility to level the playing field and support students to reach their fullest potential regardless of personal circumstances. I'm also really pleased to see the number and calibre of all the candidates here today, and I think that really speaks to the good work that the union's done in the past year. People are recognising and appreciating the role of student democracy, and I'm really excited that that's something I could be a part of and that I could help to affect real positive change in my fellow students' lives. So from tomorrow, please remember to vote Tierney #1 for VP welfare, because I really am passionate about advocating for your well-being. Thank you.
Thank you. That was great to hear from you. Next up we have Lewis.
Excellent. Hi everyone, my name is Lewis McDermott. I'm a non-binary third-year student studying politics at Strathclyde, and I want you to vote for me #1 for VP Welfare. I'm just going to apologise just now that this isn't kind of subtitled. I assume it's not going to be subtitled live on YouTube, but I will be trying to do a transcript of what I've said today, and we'll be uploading it on my Facebook as soon as I can. So make sure you check that out. I've spent a lot of time already going over my manifesto and kind of my content already on my page, so I'm just going to spend a little bit more time going on about me and some of the stuff I haven't discussed already, and kind of how I'm looking to achieve all of this in a little bit more specific detail. So my work so far, and kind of both in my studies and outside of my studies, has always been about ensuring that those people who don't have a voice in the kind of institutions that they're within are represented as best as possible. And I think that definitely comes under the work of VP Welfare, and definitely makes a huge difference. I'm hoping to create a safe and supportive community at Strathclyde that works with students and for students in kind of bettering every single person that's at Strathclyde. Some of the key points of my manifesto are mental health at Strathclyde, sexual health at Strathclyde, and student employment at Strathclyde. But a couple of the other key points and other points of my manifesto are protections from Brexit, protections from gender and sexual discrimination, and accessibility during and post-COVID, which I'll go into a bit more detail on in some kind of posts on my Facebook again as well. I'm really pleased with all the candidates that have been here today and I've already talked, and I really think that if any single one of them had been elected and are elected, I'll be more than happy to work with them as VP Welfare. I think we will all have to work together to create that strong community that is able to support each and every student in achieving what they can achieve at Strathclyde.
That's your time, candidate. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Lewis. And next up we have Ariadna.
Hi, so my name is Ariadna, but Aria is shorter and easier to say. So I'm going to start with why I want to be elected as VP Welfare. Well, first off, I've been a class rep for the past 2 years, and through that position, I've seen how people have been affected by especially by the pandemic, how their welfare has been affected. And I just wanted to get elected and just rectify this as much as possible, because people have really been struggling, and I know firsthand how hard that's been. And I also am really passionate about helping people in general. So moving on to my manifesto, I have 3 key points. So one of them is decreasing student housing costs, and I want to work with the government as well as the university to try and put a cap on student housing rent prices. And I also want to create a sort of a sponsorship program in order to help students who are really struggling financially, and especially students who are homeless. My next point on my manifesto is about careers help the university helping students with careers. So I would like to work with the university to create more jobs on campus, but at the same time, I want the university to help the students to get jobs off campus, for example, helping them with their CVs, or just practicing interviews, and just, I don't know, giving tips and tricks and any sort of help whatsoever. And my last point is regarding mental health. I do want to increase the quality and quantity of mental health services, especially for LGBTQIA students, people of color, and survivors of sexual assault. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we have 2 questions for you, and if it's all right, we'll just go in the same order. So Tierney, Lewis, and Aria. The first question is, what is your top priority for ensuring the well-being of Strathclyde students?
Hi, I think just really listening to people when they tell you what they need, making sure that we're getting that feedback from students, that we're even being proactive about things. Like, we have a lot of data on students, you know, if they've turned up to Zoom meetings, whether they've been participating, we could be using that potentially to identify problems kind of before they arise. If someone's not been participating, if you've not seen them in a lecture for 6 weeks, check in with people. So yeah, just little ideas like that. Thanks.
Thank you. And then Lewis?
Of course. So my top priority in terms of creating a better kind of welfare would just be creating, again, I said it before, creating that community, a supportive community that works for the students at Strathclyde. As the previous candidate said, that it could be from student interaction, you know, polls, meetings, everything like that. And if it doesn't fit into the kind of key 3 points of my manifesto, I'd be more than happy to work on something else that students feel takes a much stronger priority. So if any other issues are raised by other students, then I'd be more than happy to take that on board, because I am here to work for you as students.
Perfect, thank you. And then Aria?
Yeah, so I don't think there is one important topic for any student. So because of that, I want to create sort of like a drop-in session, or like an anonymous confession thing, I don't know, where people can just go and say whatever it is the most important for them. So everyone's problems and issues can be covered, and not just one single thing, because one thing is not gonna help and is not gonna be the same for everyone.
Thank you. That was some great answers from all our candidates. The second question is that there has been an increase in the interest for a sexual health clinic on campus, and candidates for several years have been promising to create a clinic on campus. If elected, how would you make this a reality? And again, we'll just go to Tierney first, if that's okay.
That's a really good question, and obviously something I've addressed in my manifesto. I've never opened a sexual health clinic myself, but obviously you'll need someone to work there, you'll need to do all the costing around it. We'll have some sort of space, I'm assuming, in the union building. There's obviously like a lot of checks and sort of due diligence you need to go through in the process to figure out how to make that happen, but I really believe that we can. They have it available at other unions, why don't we?
Thank you. And then Lewis?
Yeah, of course. So sexual health at Strathclyde is one of my key points of my manifesto, and part of that is exploring creating an on-campus sexual health service. I realise that this can be incredibly difficult, as it does require a lot of resources to do so. So if we're unable to actually create an on-campus sexual health service, I'd be looking to work with local other sexual health providers and create a dedicated service for Strathclyde students off campus. Ensuring that all Strathclyde students can access the sexual health services that they need. Obviously, this could take a number of different forms, but I'm not going to promise anything right now that I can't deliver, but I'm definitely going to explore the possibility of it as a key priority.
Thank you. And Aria?
Yeah, so one thing I believe that can be done is working with charities that offer sexual health stuff for free, especially for students, or with local clinics like Sandyford as well, and just working together with these people and trying to kind of have like a spot at the university. And like Lewis said, if it wouldn't be possible at the university, then have a dedicated place where Strathclyde students can go and take care of their sexual health.
Brilliant. Thanks, everyone. That was some really great responses. And I'm now going to pass back to Kayla to talk you through the president role.
Thank you, Shelby, and thank you to all of the candidates again so far. So next we're on to the presidential candidates. So these are the candidates who are here to take my job. I am so excited for them to do so. So today there are 4 candidates in total, and today we have 3 of them here along with us, and they are Ben, Jai, and Samson. So again, same format, 2 minutes, and then we'll move to questions. So Ben, you're first on my list. Would you like to take your 2 minutes first?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've said it a lot, but being your VP Welfare this year has been such a joy. And yeah, times have been rough at times, and there's been moments where the uni's made me want to bury my head in my pillow. But overall, I've loved getting to represent your interests each and every day, and that's why I've decided to run for president this year. This year, I want to do big projects. I want to launch our new union building, which we're hopefully finally going to get into. It's been many years in the making. And secure fair funding for the union, and crucially for the sports union, because working this year alongside Ailey, I've had incredible respect for the amount of work that goes into the sports union, and they deserve a little bit more money to be able to do the amazing work that sports clubs do every day. I want to continue the fight for fee reductions because international students have been paying sky-high fees this year for an experience that is fundamentally different from what they signed up for. I want to lower Strathclyde sport fees so that the gym is more accessible than ever before. And I want to pursue the creation of a student housing co-op to put housing in the hands of students, not in the hands of the landlords that have treated them like crap this year during the pandemic. And so much more that I can't fit in because we only have 2 minutes. But ultimately, the message I want to convey to you is that if you elect me, you're my boss, and the 22 other 1,000 students at Strathclyde. It's my job to represent you to the uni, not the uni to you. And I've felt the anger and the hurt this year on the poor communications, on the sky-high fees, on the rip-off rents, and on the slow grading. And where the university does wrong, I'll challenge them, I'll call them out. I've done it this year, and I'll continue to do it as your president. And by working together, we can achieve great things and keep making change happen. So when voting opens at 12 p.m. tomorrow, I hope you'll give me your first preference vote to be your next Strath Union president. And I think that's the first time I've ever done something in under 2 minutes live. I'll leave it there.
Great, thank you. Next on my list is Jai. So if you'd like to take your 2 minutes here, that would be brilliant. You're on mute.
Yeah, hi Kayla. Actually, I'm sitting out somewhere at the moment. I'm nearby the hospital and I'm not feeling well at the moment, but still I'll participate in this first thing. Basically, I'll introduce myself a bit about me. I'm Jaydutt Sharma and I'm from India. Basically, I'm the youth spokesperson for the largest political party in this world that is situated in India. Apart from that, I am the member for National Campaigning Committee that is at the national level. The current running government, I've been a part of the government too. Apart from that, I represented under 19 cricket in India. I represented it at national level. I've been in politics from last 10 years in student politics. I was the president of the last university which I was studying in. Since this University of Strathclyde is new to me and I do only have a year, I'll be spending a year as of now in University of Strathclyde, and I'm the MSc student, MSc Finance student. So I would really like to work for the welfare of the student. Like I want to develop the university. I want to develop the students. I want to gain all the trust of each and every student. Apart from that, I'm just a voice. People are actually behind me. I'm going to do whatever I'll be asked to do. Whatever problem the youth will be facing, the students will be facing, I'll be the voice to them. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you, Jai. And now I'm going to pass to Samson for your 2 minutes as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Samson Damdola Fabiyi, and I'm running for president. If you elect me, we will have a union that checks in with you from time to time through surveys, your reps and group leader. We will have a union that cares so much about what you have to say and what you need. We will come to you even before you come to us. We will have a union that comes to you, a union that listens to you. Everyone will be welcome. Everyone will be given free hands to participate. Now I'm talking about diversity and inclusion. I will support it. I will promote it. Your voice will be heard. Every society and groups will be well represented. I will ensure that students of faith have enough space for prayer. I will ensure that the union is engaging internationally. International students will be receiving optimal support from the union. I will also aim to create a new office of the Vice President International Affairs. The union will negotiate with the management to reduce the tuition fee and also to increase the number of installments allowed for international students. I will aim to increase participation in community work, volunteering, and sporting activities through awareness campaign and rewards for exceptional efforts. I will also ensure that all the sport clubs and teams have necessary facilities and are well funded for a fun-filled sporting experience. Vote for something. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to move on to the questions. Once again, for the president role, we have 3 questions. And if it's all right, I'm going to ask all 3 and alternate the order that I ask you in. So Samson, since you went last this time, if it's all right, I'd like you to start with the questions first this time. And the first question is progression opportunities, both from college into university and on to postgraduate courses, are massively important for students from widening access backgrounds. What will you do to ensure that there are as many progression opportunities as possible?
Yeah, I would say based on my experience, actually I've gone through this various transition, and I know it's very important. So one of the things I will do is to organize trainings and workshops, and also to ensure to create awareness for programs like in countries where we have limited number of students Strathclyde. So we organize programs collaborating with the in-country reps to ensure that students are progressed from undergraduate to postgraduate, and also from master's to PhD level.
Great, thank you. Next, I will pass to Jai, if that's okay. And the question's in the chat if you need to see it again, but if you'd like me to ask it again, that's
No problem, Skyla. That's perfectly fine with me. Basically, if I talk about myself, I'm from the technical background and I'm now studying finance. That is all apart, very apart. Now, if I'm doing a postgraduate study, definitely I'll be seeking a job after that. And most of the students who are studying in UK will be in a need of a job after their postgraduate studies. Most people don't go into the PhDs or other courses. So if you'll ask me, I'll definitely go with the various employment drives in the university. I'll ask the university department to hold various employment drives. Moreover, various companies will flow in and various people will get the employment. That's what my major concern is. Thank you.
Thank you, Jai. And Ben, next up is yourself.
Thanks, Skyla. So I've been working on this year. I secured an increase to the postgraduate alumni discount to make it easier for Strathclyde alumni to enter postgraduate studies. It's now 15% off. And I've also secured backing for the creation of scholarships for care experienced and estranged students to make it easier for them to access postgraduate education. And one of the things that my manifesto this year and the sort of the final component of that 3-part sort of project to make postgraduate education more accessible is I'd like the university to implement a scheme of postgraduate widening access bursaries, which would make it even more accessible for widening access students to be able to go into postgraduate education. The other bit of the question around sort of the transition between college and university, I think is really important as well. I have a number of friends who went to college first before coming to university. And I think there is some work that we can do there to make that transition smoother, even just closer partnerships between the students' associations, which we already sort of do. So working with City of Glasgow College Student Association to put on events for the transition period between students going from college to Strathclyde.
Great. And on to the next question, if it's all right. Jai, I'll start with you. And the question is, as students come back to campus, how will you ensure that students are safe and that the university properly supports Strathclyde students?
Can you please repeat the question?
Yes, no problem at all. So it is, as students start to come back onto campus, how will you ensure that students are safe and that the university properly supports Strathclyde students?
Yeah, I've heard that the vaccine has already arrived in UK and other parts of the country too. I'm the in charge of the vaccine drive that has been going on in my state, that is in Rajasthan, India. That vaccine drive broke all the records in the world, being 74.5% people are already vaccinated. So I'll ask the university to pay for the vaccine itself. And I don't want people to pay for the vaccine. Apart from that, university should invite the students in a very small group. That would be alternate days. So that's what I think.
Great, thank you, Jai. Ben, I'll pass on to you.
Yeah, so luckily I think time might actually be on our side on this, because realistically I don't think for the mass majority of students will be returning to campus this semester. It will be the next academic year that students are returning. And we do see sort of brighter times on the horizon with the various coronavirus vaccines. And we obviously know from experience the decline we experienced over the summer months last year after an extended period in lockdown. So I think we're going to be coming back to campus next semester in a much safer position. But I already know that, like, even from my sort of daily walks, I've been trying to get 10,000 steps in a day since New Year, sort of walking through the outsides of campus. The amount of work that's been put in to make the building safe has already been done, because the university, as much as we told them it was never going to happen, was planning to open campus back in October. But I think there is always more work to do to make sure campus is more safe, especially as we're returning in a still, probably there are still going to be nerves that students are experiencing more than anything coming back to campus after so long being online and coming back after a prolonged lockdown. So I think we have to do work to reduce student anxieties and sort of ease students in. And if they want to take it slightly slower on their own personal return to campus, I think the university should accommodate that.
Great, thanks, Ben. And finally, passing on to Samson.
So I will ensure that the union support the management to orientate the students on the need to get to COVID-19 rules and regulation. So I will also ensure that the union support the management to provide the vaccines for all the students on campus. And I will also work with the VP community to ensure that the students are socially engaging with one another, because it's very important to keep their mental well-being. Yeah. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So now we're going to move on to the next question for the presidential candidates, and that is, what plans do you have to convince the institution to reduce international student fees? We will take, sorry, I've forgotten now who's gone first each time. Ben, I believe it's your turn to go first. If you'd like to kick off, that would be great.
Yeah, so again, I've been doing quite a bit of work on this year. And sometimes when you're talking to the university management, it is a bit like a brick wall, or they put their fingers in their ears and they don't want to listen. So realistically, I think we need to get tougher on university management. I think this year the union has done a pound of work, has really picked up the slack for the university in terms of providing student support when the university hasn't been willing to do so. That the sort of pound of work that we've done over the Christmas months, and the amount of committees we've been on this year, and all that work we've been doing. And we do tend to work very cooperatively with the university. And I think we just have to say to them, look, if you are going to continue to charge our students atrocious fees, 20k a year, when some students haven't even set foot on campus, we have to have a serious reevaluation of the amount of work we're going to do for you for free. like, because it's not fair. And I think students get very aggrieved at times, but like when they don't necessarily see us taking action. So there is action we can take. We should look at sort of radical action. Either, I know some other unis have taken radical action. They've looked at sort of student strikes, which is one thing. You can look at sort of boycotts of certain initiatives. But I think just radical measures is the only way to go on international student fees until the university takes action. And like, I don't think that's where we need to be. The university could be very pragmatic about it. They could come around the table and we could have measured negotiations on it. But if they're going to just keep brick walling the issue, then we're going to have to move to radical action with the full support of students behind us, of course.
Great, thanks, Ben. Samson, if it's all right, I'll pass on to you next.
Okay, yeah, to convince the management, one factor we let the management say the exchange rate in some countries is getting high. So, and this is really hurting the prospective student. They can't come because the initial plan for them has been changed due to the high exchange rate. And another factor is most people have been working from home now. They are not really enjoying the facilities, and they've been paying for this facilities. So we make the management to stay this, and we negotiate with the management to reduce the tuition fee and also to increase the number of installments, like I mentioned in my manifesto. And another area we exploit is, I said in my manifesto that the union will be engaging internationally, so we'll be collaborating with in-country reps in those countries to encourage organizations from those countries to sponsor the students, and also to provide a scholarship to subsidize the tuition fees. Yeah, thank you.
Great, thanks, Samson. And Jai, finally, we'll pass this question on to you.
Yeah, thanks, Kayla. Basically, in this COVID-19 pandemic thing, where people are already losing their jobs, people are getting unemployed. If university is making a huge hike in the fees, like even I am paying 24,000 euros, and that's 24,000 pounds, and that's not done. I'm an international student. Apart from that, we'll pressurize the management. We'll boycott various things. We'll ask the management to get the fees as much as lower it can be, because in this COVID-19 pandemic thing, things are really getting worse. And what if a student wants to study just because of the fees thing, he cannot study? I do got a case yesterday, and he asked me that if you'll be our president, then definitely you need to raise this issue. And that issue was about the fees. He couldn't get into the university because of this fees thing. So I assured him that it's not if I am going to win, we are going to win it together. So definitely I will look into this matter. And after elections, even if I win or not, I'll definitely look into this matter and try to pressurize the management for that. Thank you so much.
Brilliant, thank you. So everyone, that brings us to the end of our hustings. We've asked all the questions, we've heard from all of our executive candidates, and we're now at 5:15. Thank you to all of the candidates who have came along, who have spoken, and who have answered all of our questions. It has been absolutely lovely to see you all and hear from you all. So we're going to wrap this up now, but best of luck to you all who are running tomorrow. And just as a reminder, voting does open tomorrow at 12 o'clock. So get voting. Don't forget to vote for yourself if you're running, and make sure that you get the word out, both for yourself, for your friends, and just generally to the student population, because obviously we want as representative of a student union as possible. So best of luck to you all. And of course, all of the information, everyone's manifestos can all be seen online. Adam's been good enough to put a wee link just there in the chat at the side. You can click on that and get some more information before it all kicks off tomorrow. So again, well done to you all. It's not the easiest of situations to be put in, and it's a bit strange speaking in what's probably all of your own bedrooms, aside from Jai, who's unfortunately outside a hospital and best wishes there as well. So good luck, and I hope you all have wonderful evenings. That's it for the Hostons, and hopefully see you all soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, David.